So obviously offense is a little easy this year. The user is slower and the defense, at least for Ultimate Team, is pretty slow at this point in the year. So you can really run up the score against most people with really a variety of offensive schemes. But there seems to be a bit of a man coverage meta brewing, not necessarily because it's really overpowered, but it's just, it's pretty good. And it's a little too easy to pick apart zones, and not everyone has a deep bag of man beaters just yet. Wheel routes and outside release fades do not work anymore, as far as I'm aware, and even corner routes are a little bit tricky. But there's still multiple ways of beating it, without having to get really great receivers with really great abilities and so on. Now, all of this might change throughout the year once ratings go up and everybody's getting abilities on their receivers and on their defensive backs. But by and large, right now, and then likely throughout the year, this stuff will hold true. So in this video, we'll go over the 5 different methods, or just 5 different methods, there's probably others, with each one attacking different areas of the field. So what I've been seeing is, calling cover 1 or 2-man, and then just adjusting zones or their user depending on where you're trying to hit. This will make it a lot tougher to predict that, because we'll hit them deep, short, sideline, intermediate, stuff like that. So we'll get started with the double move right here. This is out of the Eagles playbook, gun doubles Y off, double stop and goes. And we're gonna go against, cover 1, cover 2, cover 0. So we'll go ahead and start with the play or the concept of the route that's gonna give us the most yards, or our one-play touchdowns. This alone might deter your opponent from running man coverage altogether. You might run this once, get your touchdown, or maybe run it twice, and then that alone might get them totally out of it. But if they don't, we'll have some other answers as well. So right here we have these double stop and goes to the left and to the right. We're going to be focusing on this matchup on the right here, Sammy Watkins against Patrick Peterson. I think that's pretty reasonable. They both don't have abilities. They both, Patrick Peterson has high man coverage, and they both got the same speed. So I think it's a pretty good matchup here, and that should relate nicely, at least to Ultimate Team, and then some other, whether you're in regs or whatever. So right here we have the double move route. Not all double moves are the same. Like, I don't think a sluggo really works. I think the chair routes where they run the out and up, I think that's also going to work here. This one's really good. What you're going to want to do is just smart route it. So for whatever reason, when you smart route it, it makes that double move happen a lot quicker, and that's what allows you to get over the top. So regardless of ratings, even really regardless of speed, unless you're much slower, you're going to be able to beat that guy over the top. So you see here, you get huge separation, lob that over the top, and you get your instant easy one-play score. Now what's cool about this is that it actually works against press coverage as well. So sometimes it can get a little bit wonky, but you just gotta hold up in the pocket, and that's a little bit easier to do this year. But everything else remains pretty much the same. He actually beats his guy, and there's a little bit of a mix-up, which doesn't usually happen. But regardless, you're always going to beat him over the top. Now once you do that, there aren't really any other adjustments they can do other than if they want to be a little bit crazy here and put this guy in a deep third and then take over with somebody else, that could be a possible adjustment. Or they'll go into 2-man, in which case you'll beat the press guy, but you're not going to beat the deep safety over the top. And that's one way that they can stay in man coverage to defend that. But of course, we got 4 other ways that we can look to beat that. And one of those things is the post route. So maybe not all post routes, but I believe in general this year, post routes are going to get open, regardless of rating. Even if you have the best man coverage defender, as long as you're not much slower in the wide receiver, you're going to get open there. I think these ones are a little bit better, these kind of sharper ones inside, not so much the skinny posts, because this allows you to get underneath those deep zones. So in this case, again, we're in cover 2-man right here. We got press coverage underneath, and we got the safety help over the top. But we should be able to get inside the corner and underneath the deep zones there. And in some cases, you can rack that and pick up more yards as well. Now against cover 1, whether they're pressed or off man, it's going to be working out nicely. Now, assuming that your user doesn't drift underneath that, obviously you're going to want to watch out for that. But this post safety really doesn't do a very good job. So you can just throw it, inside the man defender and then underneath this guy. I could have probably rack out that there, but you can also possession catch that. Now against cover 0, where you don't have any help over the top with the safeties, or if you're playing cover 2-man and they're putting these guys way out here in curl flats or some other sort of underneath zone, or if that's a user coming down and you don't have that safety help over the top, then this post could potentially be a one-play score for you. You probably just want to, get some of these guys out of the way. I don't know, put these guys here, just so when you catch it, you don't have other man defenders that can peel off their receiver and then come into play there. So right here, in that case, I didn't get enough separation, but if you had a speed advantage, it could be a score. So ideally, you have, all of this stuff in one formation, so, your opponent never knows what's going to happen. Never know if you're going to run that post, or never know if you're going to run that double team. So you're going to have to start, looking at on defense. Well, I need the guy over here to work against the double team, the double move, and then maybe I need to help out underneath to work against that post, or perhaps put this guy in a hook. Maybe that'll help a little bit. So you're already taking away man defenders and really losing the quality and structure of the defense. And then once you start to really sacrifice in man coverage, like say if you need to put out another guy over here and user this guy and do a 3-man rush, well then in that case you likely won't have a spy, and then from there you can actually just really easily scramble to the left or to the right or up the middle. So it really becomes compromised once you start adding these things up. But if we want more, there is more. So if you're stuck, you didn't call a double move, you didn't call a post, you don't have any audibles, and you unexpectedly see man coverage with your opponent, well, you always have some hot routes that are always going to be good for you. I usually do these videos throughout the year where we attack every coverage just with hot routes. I'll do that down the road, but in this case, there's a few that you can use right now. So this is just cover one man. Tight end routes and halfback routes are going to be really, really good for you. So in general, tight end, put him on an out. Actually, Kelsey probably isn't the best example here because I think he has some nice abilities here. But if I even put in somebody without abilities, it'd be just as fine. I use it all the time. So, you could just put a smart routed out or even just a regular route, depending on how much time you have in the pocket. And usually you're going to be up against a linebacker or a safety, and those guys are never going to be able to cover that. You can throw that all day. So what you can imagine is that, say if I have a post on the left side, I don't in this case, but let's say if I do, the user defender might go try to rob that post, but they're never going to be, there to help with the tight end. So even if I don't want to go with the out route, I could also do an in route as well, and that'll be fine right there. We got inside leverage here, we catch that, and then we can probably rack that if we have a little bit of decent speed. And these tight end and halfback routes are really good because they're not going to get pressed. So if you're running cover 2 man, where you have that press coverage on the slot and outside wide receivers, you can't really do that with the back because he's in the backfield, obviously, and even the tight end because he's attached to the line of scrimmage and he's covered by a linebacker. You can't really press him there, and he gets that free release, immediately gets into his route, and then again because he's up against the lesser defender, it's pretty easy for him to get some separation there. So same thing with the running back. If we have a nice formation like this, like a trips or a doubles look where the halfback is on the opposite side of the tight end, and we don't have a post, we don't have a double move to our disposal, we've used the out route or the in route from the tight end a couple times, that's drawing some attention from our opponent. So say if they maybe manually guard him man on man, or add a second guy over here, well then we just hit him to the other side. Okay, so with that we will go to 4 verticals. This route is actually pretty good, the stock route and 4 verticals, or we can use the hot route, the option route right here. So against zone, he's going to sit down. Against man, which is what this is, he's going to head outside. So in this case, he's going to get matched up on the linebacker. He's going to get some okay separation. If we have a little bit of speed, we can get some more yards. So I mean, this stuff's pretty guaranteed with the tight end and the running back. Again, it doesn't even matter so much with the ratings because it's just that's how the programming works on this stuff. You're always going to get at the bare minimum enough separation to make the catch like I showed you there. In some cases you do get some crazy separation. You can get a nice little rack boost. Even if you're up against say like a cover 0 where you have these linebackers coming in and you have a nice safety here on man coverage, you're going to have some nice options. Of course, you're probably going to want against cover 0 at least one more blocker. Oops, so I'm going to have to redo that. Yeah, so at least one more man blocker right here, so you can put the tight end on a check and release or just a regular blocking route. You'll have something else with the wide receivers. And then just a nice little option right over here with the running back. Again, even though you don't really have the matchup, you'll have enough to at least get that catch. And then the last one, just keeping it really, really simple, something I myself forget about usually. Sometimes I'll get stuck. What do I use to beat man coverage? Well, just a straight up slant, and I think it works even better this year, even against some of the best corners. and mediocre receivers, you're going to get some separation. If you do have the speed, this one can really take it to the house, especially this year. It's a little bit harder to make a tackle in the open field. So in this case, it doesn't matter. You can just go to 4 verticals. You can hot route one of those guys. Again, I think this is a fair matchup here on the right. And pretty much every time, even regardless of shading or anything, you're going to win inside. And this one, you get more separation. You can rack that and take it upfield. Now, of course, you're always going to want to be wary, though. So if you're running this, and if you say you're running a slant over here, just make sure, again, even with the poor user, you want to avoid the user. So say if he's looking over here to possibly rob that window, then you might want to have a slant coming in from this side. And this is going to work against off-man coverage, press coverage, shade underneath, over the top, in, out, whatever. You're always going to get separation there. And again, we added a few of these things where we can have an option to one side and an option to the other side. Could be a halfback option, or we could do a slant on one side and then a tight end over here. Again, to avoid the user and avoid any sort of mix-up. So say if they're coming with cover 2 man and maybe putting this guy in a hook curl or something like that, to have a couple good options is always going to be a good bet. So in this case, you could even do, you could check right here immediately if you get a press beat. You could win over the top there. You got the slant. You got the out from the tight end. Again, he's not going to get ever bumped, and he's going to be against a tight end or something like that. And you could also have the option from the running back. So really shouldn't be too difficult. And then, above all, especially if you're coming against cover 2 man, even cover 1, I don't think they're great run defenses. Usually against this stuff, I'm just going to be running some sort of RPO, which usually means a handoff against man coverage, but it's just not as good a run defense, I think, as zone coverage, and I think you should be having a lot of success. But, this is the 3 that you can always have in any of your formations. Definitely look to find a double move in your playbook. Before you use it, I'll take it to practice mode, make sure it actually works. Maybe there's some that don't for whatever reason. The one I showed you here in Eagles is always going to work. It's really nice. And then those nice post routes as well. Okay, so that's a really quick video. Help you guys against man coverage at the start of the year. Hopefully we get some defensive tips soon because offense is a little bit too easy. Okay, but that's it for this one, guys, and I'll see you guys in the next one.